Welcome to Ultimate Awesomeness Podcast. It's me, Steven, and here is Eric. And we're gonna start talking about the Deadpool 2 trailer, and then we're gonna start talking about a couple of movie news, and then we'll start talking about Black Panther and then the usual comic of the week. So what Eric, what did you think about the Deadpool 2 trailer?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. It's one of those things that I think they're doing a smart thing with kind of showing very little at the same time of, showing very little without leaving you not curious. It gives you plenty to want to know more about what's going to happen in the movie, and everything. I'm curious with Cable how they're going to, portray him and everything. I mean, I'm not an X-Men guy, so I don't know a lot about Cable's history, and when I read about Cable, it makes my head hurt. So I like him as a character, but going into any backstory with him is very complicated. So I'm curious how they're going to, ultimately simplify that for the movie so that he's accessible and interesting to see in the movie. But the trailer does give a good job of kind of giving that basic sense of who he is, mercenary from the future with a man on the mission kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes.
I do know a couple of things about Cable. I mean, I've read them a couple of times, and I'm curious to how the relationship between Cable and Deadpool is gonna be like, because it's a very cool dynamic I actually like a lot.
Yeah, kind of like a comedy loon and comedic straight man kind of thing.
Yeah, like
straight man is like this big muscle bound crazy mercenary.
Yeah, maybe it could. I don't know if this is the case, but maybe it could remind people about Lethal Weapon kind of relationship. I think.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, it's like Lethal Weapon if Murtaugh was the Terminator from the Terminator.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
Yeah, because I get what you mean, because Riggs is very much the zany Looney Tune character like Deadpool would be, but Murtaugh is a bit more serious but not as badass as a Cable would be.
Yeah, but he does make jokes sometimes. That's why I wasn't too sure to just say as a good comparison. But yeah, I thought the trailer was interesting, and I saw some actors that weren't announced, in the movie that was in the movie previously. Like, I was surprised to see Terry Crews in the trailer.
Oh yeah, that was one I was surprised by too. Once again, I'm not well versed in the X-Men lore, so I don't know a lot of different characters. But people already have their theories as to who he's playing. Because I guess there was a couple. There's a character that I don't remember. I already forgot who it is, but he resembles in that scene with the sunglasses and the jumpsuit bodyguard kind of stuff, body armor.
And some people say anarchist. I don't know who that is, but
yeah. See, there's so many X-Men,
And I remember I read one Deadpool series with Rob Liefeld, wasn't good. It had that character, but he was like a villain, so it just isn't. I'm not sure if that's really him, if he's with Cable. But I don't know the character's history, so I can't say anything.
Yeah.
And also I heard people say Shadow Star's in the background. I can barely see him, but I'm not sure that's really him. I mean,
yeah, it's one of those things with a lot of these movies, especially something like that there's so many characters to choose from to adapt that it really can be anyone at any time
Mm-hmm.
Especially, or even just taking bits and pieces of them. That's always the thing that I find interesting and neat about the X-Men movies is that you always get hints at certain characters before they commit to actually portraying them full on, kind of like Kitty Pryde. I mean, in the first two X-Men movies, you see a Kitty Pryde analog, phasing through different material, but you don't really get Kitty Pryde until the third movie. And that could be the case with this too. Any character that you can assume it's one character, you can't assume it's them until they say their name or they become a prominent part of the party. I mean, I think they did the same thing with Colossus. Colossus in all the three main X-Men movies, but he's not named or anything until Deadpool, really.
Yeah, he didn't have a role until Deadpool. He was just like a cameo character.
Yeah, because there's so many characters within the X-Men universe that you can just throw at the creative wall that it's hard to speculate on who can anyone be. So I'm not well versed in X-Men, so for me it's all fun. I'm more interested in just seeing how everyone plays off each other and how it all fits into the world of Deadpool and advances his character and his world, especially with the Fox acquisition. I'm curious if they're going to make a reference to him crossing over into the main Marvel universe if that particular deal is done and everything. So that's those are the things I'm curious about. All the other things, and it's going to be a fun ride whatsoever, one way or the other.
Oh, I don't know, but I did like some funny parts of the trailer, like Colossus. I mean, Deadpool grabbed Colossus' butt. I know it was in one of the it was in the Spanish version of the trailer.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah, because Deadpool grabs Colossus' ass for some reason, and I thought that was funny. It was in the I saw during Black Panther the trailer. It was there for some reason. Whatever. Yeah, because I caught it. I went to Newsarama and they said that there's a specific scene that wasn't in the American version of the trailer. It was in the Spanish version, which I don't know why. Probably they just probably thought it was inappropriate for Americans. I don't know. What else? Yeah, it was pretty funny how they made jokes of the CGI arm. Thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. So.
What part was funny? Sorry.
The CGI arm.
Oh yeah, like coming back to just how it's not finished yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. And the Deadpool playing with toys. That was.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Which is it's a good reference to Disney and everything as well. So we'll see. Like I said, it just feels like they're hinting at there's going to be jokes about it, or they must have done some reshoots since the acquisition to kind of make fun of him not being involved or maybe going to be involved in the future MCU movies.
Well, the acquisition is still not done yet, I think, because people have been asking lately if the acquisition is done. He said no. You're not done yet with it at the moment.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, it's not a done deal just yet, but it's very close to being finished. That's as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I heard Disney ended up delaying 2 movies of Fox, which is like I think New Mutants and X-Men Dark Phoenix. Those 2 got delayed. Her New Mutants got delayed to next year. I'm like, geez.
I think Dark Phoenix was delayed partially. Oh wait, did they finish filming that?
Yeah, they finished filming because X-Men Dark Phoenix only got delayed to 1 month. It went from October to November, I think.
I thought that was delayed because of the whole Bryan Singer thing.
I don't know if that is the case, but
yeah, I haven't looked too much into it. But yeah, Deadpool's the only one that's on track, I guess. We'll see about New Mutants, I guess.
Yeah, and
I'm more interested in New Mutants, to be honest. So
yeah, they delayed it to November 2nd. And Was it New Mutants was also delayed too, but yeah, they delayed a year later, and the thing is they would finish filming in it, and then for some reason the director did not like how it turned out, so he's gonna shoot it all over again.
That's a big move. That's weird because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to do that. It's crazy they're taking that risk. Yeah, because they delayed it to February 22nd, 2019. It was supposed to come out April this year, and they didn't like how the finished product came out. So that was kind of weird.
I have to look into that. I haven't actually heard much about New Mutant news. It's I mean, it's the same thing. X-Men movies, as I get excited, but I don't get as excited about it.
I don't get excited about it either. The only thing I could get excited about is Deadpool, because the X-Men movies are not good in my books.
Yeah, it helps that Deadpool's just easily blendable into everything else. So I don't know. I like the trailer a lot. It sets up a lot of intrigue for me, and I hope it's as good as the first one or better. But yeah, it's still more of a teaser than a proper trailer, so I don't know exactly. It just gets me excited. That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just talk about Bendis and Tim Miller are writing a Kitty Pryde film. And they say it might. I don't know. I've heard rumors that it's gonna feature Deadpool in there. And is there
Will Ellen Page be coming back?
I don't know. It doesn't say anything about that.
Like I said, I had no idea that was happening, and it seemed odd at the very least, just because knowing that Bendis is leaving Marvel ultimately.
Yeah, it's very odd that he's helping Tim Miller write a film.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's kind of free to do that if it's true. I mean, it could just be a rumor that's gotten out of hand, but
it's confirmed from Bendis. He actually put it on Twitter.
Okay, so I mean, it could be just that Tim Miller, knowing Bendis' love for the character and liking his interpretation of it, that he just asked him for help. Ultimately, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with what happened with how Jeff Johns got into the whole. Kind of the movie side of things is that he was, as far as I'm aware, the original screenwriter for Batman wanted to kind of get his input because of him being such a prominent writer for DC. And that just kind of got the ball rolling for him to work more as a consultant for future DC films. So it could just be that, and it's just a small role. I doubt he'd even have time to do too much with it because of his commitments to DC, and also, catching up to his Marvel and DC work because of his sickness from his MRSA stuff.
I know. It's just that Bendis, I think he has a bad habit of overstocking himself with stuff.
It's true. He's one of those prolific writers, but it's not prolific in a positive sense. It's in a
he doesn't realize how much stuff he's putting on himself, and it just doesn't.
It's surprising he's not.
It all collapses on him.
Sick like this before, honestly, but yeah.
Yeah, and it says to be based on a certain storyline from Uncanny X-Men. What is it? 143, which is Kitty Pryde fighting the Angara. I don't know anything about this, but whatever. So I
don't know much about that at all.
Yeah, so that just gives us that's just telling us what the movie's about, I think. It's just, I don't know how they're gonna do this because Wolverine is has more of a closer relationship with Kitty Pryde than Deadpool. Deadpool had no relationship with Kitty Pryde, so it's like, I don't know, it seems kind of weird they're probably replacing Wolverine with Deadpool.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's gonna work. And I have mixed feelings with Bendis writing Kitty Pryde because he didn't do so well when she was in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I did like what he did with her in All New X-Men when she was a leader of the young X-Men, the young original X-Men. Yeah.
Right. The original 5.
Yeah. Yeah, that arc was pretty interesting. So I hope he does well with this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you wanted him to do well.
And how do you feel about? I'm gonna go to the next one. Michael Bay. I think I'm not sure he's directing Lobo with DC. Yeah.
I heard about that very vaguely. I wasn't sure if he was writing, if he was just directing or producing. He's Lobo, from what little I know about the character, is kind of up his alley. I don't know. It's tough to say because Lobo's is kind of. I don't know. I don't know a lot about Lobo. From what I know about him, he's like kind of this weird, like trying to be rebellious kind of character. He's trying to be like a cool, violent DC character, a la like Punisher or Wolverine, but without the charm of those characters, the pathos. He's just kind of like a alien bounty hunter that they don't really evolve on too much. I mean, I'm could be wrong. I was told by a customer at the comic book store I work at the other day that he can be written well, and that there was like a couple of really good storylines for him, but I don't know, they're few and far between. But from what little I've experienced from him and what I know about him, Michael Bay could make him fun at the very least. I don't know outside of that. He probably will go the route of making him easy to digest as being like kind of like an asshole mercenary, really, and not much else than that. That's all I can say. I mean, that's kind of Michael Bay's MO for characters, is to simplify it for action and comedy with no real background or substance.
Yeah, I know a couple of things about Lobo. I mean, I heard he had like a good series in the 90s. I never read that one, but
Yeah.
but I did enjoy him in the Superman cartoon, and I did enjoy him in Injustice video game. He was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more into the 90s style Lobo, not the New 52 one. That one was disappointing. The skinny Lobo, I just didn't fit the character.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they go with the 90s version.
Yeah. Something with a little bit more substance.
Yeah, they said that they're gonna try to use this movie as a way to compete with Deadpool. It says in the article.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And is the screenwriter is Jason Fox. Is with an H. I don't know, it just sounds like fuck.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, and Michael Bay is directing, so that's the two people that's gonna do the movie. I hope it works out. I think he can do it because he's known to, write characters with explosions and sex and violence, and that's what Deadpool is like. To me, he's just a bounty hunter. He's a little funny and
yeah, I guess, yeah, but that's still kind of, I guess, the worry about it. Like, he could do so much more. A simple concept can be a simple concept, but you can always expand upon it one way or the other. So, what he might do that, he might not. It's hard to say.
And
Michael Bay is an interesting director to me, that he can definitely express more nuance if he wants to, if he cares about it. But it's still going to always be a loud, action-packed movie, regardless. He's still not one to express subtlety for anything. So, but like you said, maybe it doesn't matter because it's Lobo. Lobo is not necessarily the most subtle character. So.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
He's more of a comedy character.
Yeah.
And Michael Bay has been in a few good movies. I really like Bad Boys 1 and 2 and 13 Hours. Those are my favorite films of his. The only movies I don't like is the Transformers movies. It's like, oh god, those are terrible. I think only saw 1 through 3. I never saw 4 or 5. I gave up after that.
Right.
And I did see the first Ninja Turtles, and the second one, I liked the first one, but the second one was awful. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen that Ninja Turtles movie, so yeah, I just remember the first 2 Transformers, and I don't know. It's whatever. It's all whatever for me.
Yeah, so Michael Bay doesn't always have a good track record.
Yeah, it's all about how you look at it, but very true. Like I said, I only had a very vague understanding of this news beforehand, and I just kind of threw it away in my head because it's like, yeah, you know what, whatever. I don't have a connection to the character, and at the same time, it's like, whatever. If he's already attached to it, it's a done deal. No hope. Whatever.
And I mean, I heard Michael Bay he's also gonna do a Duke Nukem movie in the future with John Cena, and I'm interested in that too.
For a long time.
Yeah, that looks kind of fun, but it's out of topic. Yeah. Now I'm gonna talk about is Joaquin Phoenix to be Joker for Joker Origins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I'm kind of positive about this because I would like to see I do like one particular origin story for Joker from Joker's Killing Joke origin story.
Wait, who's doing it? You said?
No, he's gonna play Joker's. Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, Joaquin. Yeah. I think that's how you say his name.
No, yeah, Joaquin.
Okay. So yeah.
I mean, he'd be a good actor to take over the role. I just don't think he's going to do it because he doesn't give a shit about roles like that. Does that make sense? He's not someone who would. He doesn't seem like an actor who would actually put down sign his name on a contract that ties him to a character for several years of his life. I would love to see him do it because I would love to see Joaquin Phoenix do really anything. But I don't know. I don't see it happening just because of him turning down roles like this before.
Oh. And Martin Scorsese is doing the film. He's directing it.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. I mean, that's another thing. Well, I mean, Scorsese is likely to actually commit to that because he's an oddball. He likes trying new things and, doing a big budget superhero movie might be fun for him.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a connection he has to any of the characters or anything, but
yeah,
who knows?
I just really want the Killing Joke origin because it kind of gave a reason why Joker would snap and turn, psycho. I like to see that. I mean, his wife was pregnant. She got killed by the mob, and it's interesting that's a logical reason someone would snap, and I would like to see that happen.
Very true.
So I don't know. People are being negative about it because they said they like to have Joker as a mystery character, but I would like to know why he does the things that he does to make him more human. I don't know, to humanize the character.
I'm definitely of the camp that he doesn't need to have reason for anything. I feel like there could be a reason as to what made him who he is, but at the same time, it's not as important. And that's expressed in any kind of origin I've ever seen or read of him, is that even though you can tell a story that explains where he comes from, it still doesn't justify or explain anything. Killing Joke is a good example of that, because it makes sense. He was a former comedian. He gets into the life of crime just to pay some bills, and then he has an accident that turns him into the Joker. It makes sense, but it's also not necessary. It's almost a non-reason, and especially since in the same story he says he has that in his head, but at the same time he doesn't think that that's really what happened, because he has all these multiple thoughts as to where he comes from, because he doesn't remember. He probably doesn't remember at all where he comes from.
Yeah, I think his brain is all messed up.
Because there's so many ways as to why he is what he is, but it just, the insanity of the character is enough for me, with only slight pathos to kind of add to his humanity or monstrosity. So.
No. I don't know. Because I see other characters have stories, and just not have for Joker to not have one is, I don't know, kind of weird for me. I don't know.
I get it. I understand why people like the thought of having one, but yeah.
So yeah, and also a lot of people said that because this movie is gonna take place in his own separate thing, and people who are negative about DC exploring other storytellings, and I think this could be. I disagree, because I think it could be kind of interesting, because they can do maybe a Red Sun movie, like Superman Red Sun, or some other off universe, maybe like Kingdom Come or something like that.
Yeah, play around with the Elseworlds titles and all that stuff.
Yeah, and so this could be interesting, I think.
Opens up some possibilities for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I guess now we can start talking about Black Panther.
All right.
I really enjoyed this movie. I had a good time with it, and I really did like the characters that were in the movie. I had a good time. I think I'll give it maybe like a 9 or 9.5.
Yeah.
What about you? How you feel?
I give it a good solid about 4 out of 5. I think stars. It's definitely in the top Marvel movies for me. It's up there with Winter Soldier, Civil War, and there was those ones: Civil War, Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy. For me, it's got one of the best, for me, paced movies of all the Marvel movies. It's just really well done for me. Great character moments for just about everyone. Everyone kind of shines in it, and then everything else from a technical standpoint. I love the costumes. I love the music in it. I love the overall production design. Even though the CGI in a lot of spots was lacking, the design was really well done.
Yeah. I thought this was the best one for me, to be honest, as Marvel movies go. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was my favorite, but this one actually beats Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But yeah, I really liked the emotional story with Killmonger's origin. It was really interesting. It was close. I noticed I didn't know much about him, so I looked up his origin in the Wikipedias. It's mostly the same story. They didn't really change much of it, and I actually like it.
Yeah, no, it's. I'm not as familiar with other with Black Panther as I am as other characters. But or same thing with his rogues. I don't know them very well, but looking into their history mixed with the film, um, it's a good juxtaposition between the two. I mean, Black Panther, the movie advances the character past what he is in the comic books, because in the comic books he's a very put his country first kind of dictator, which makes him come out like a dick to a lot of other characters, because he just focuses so much that Wakanda above everything else. I mean, in the movie, you get glimpses of him having change a different sense of heart with that. Killmonger himself, I didn't dive as deep into his history, but like I know there's similarities to it, and he's a more interesting villain than I could imagine I've read before. He's definitely, along with I think Baron Zemo in Civil War, the most interesting villains that they've put in the movies, and he's on par with Wilson Fisk with their overall, like, how they handle villains amongst everyone else. Like, he's got a great, interesting, layered backstory with real motivation for the awful things he does in the movie. And it makes him very compelling and interesting to watch. And Michael B. Jordan did a fantastic job with the performance overall.
Yeah, he did. And it made me feel for the character. I can understand where he's coming from, and how blacks are treated in America, and comparing to Wakanda is kind of different. And
it's one of those things that it touches on a lot of aspects of racial inequality, and how it's not always, and not so much just a racial issue as much as it's also a wealth distribution issue, and how the wealthy up top, regardless of race, are just as much as fault for a lot of the problems in minority communities. A lot of people, they can see the same people that look just like him, speak the same language, come from the same culture, who are treated horribly in other countries.
Yeah.
But don't do the same to kind of help out. It's not they have to or anything, but they have an opportunity to do something to help reach out, and they don't. And I get, it's understandable. There's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't help.
Yeah.
And they show that, I feel, in the movie, why Wakanda wouldn't help. It makes sense. It's not.
Yeah, they want to be pressured, I think.
They look like them, but they aren't really their people. But they have the resources to do it. So it's a really neat look into racial politics, where it shows that both sides have it right as much as they have it wrong, and how to deal with a lot of problems.
And I also did like Shuri in the movie.
Oh yeah.
She was kind of different than the comic books, because in the comic books she's more firm and like leader type person, and she's more serious. And I guess because in the comic books she's a little bit older, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely the main reason for that. I think they kind of still portray that concept well. It's just that it's from a different perspective because she's younger.
Yeah.
Like you said in the comics, she's serious.
Yeah.
And she's got a lot more qualities to be a leader or something like that.
Yeah,
but because of her age, she's still like, she's fun, she's young, she's youthful, she likes to mess with her older brother. But she sees herself as smarter than her older brother, and she likes to throw that in his face. And it's funny.
Yeah, I never actually seen that side of Shuri in the comic books, like her being tech slavey. But I actually like that direction for the movie. It helps the characters be more interesting, and I do like that she's a little bit laid back in this one. I do like the attitude, and I can understand why the comic books were more of her a leader type because she was Black Panther during the X-Men versus Avengers. I mean, Avengers versus X-Men storyline. And yeah, Black Panther was working. I mean, T'Challa was working with the Illuminati while Shuri takes care of the country for him. And she was a much more mature character, but I guess she had to be. That's all I remember from her, but it's a little bit different from the movie, and I just I like both versions. I don't have a different opinion, and it's interesting. There was a few funny moments with her, especially with the car, and she was kind of fun. I don't know, I really liked her. And
yeah, I liked her too. She was really interesting and fun to experience one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. And I really like how they did M'Baka. Man, I know it's Man-Ape in the comic books, but I'm glad they use his actual name and not the Man-Ape because it doesn't sound too great. But
yeah, there's a lot of things like that. It's interesting how they went with it. Like, I didn't know much about the character, but I became more interested in him through the movie like that. It was really neat.
I don't know much about him either. He seems like one-dimensional sometimes. I see him, but it's like a throwaway villain. So I don't know. They made him more interesting here. Seemed like he's more of a he's like in a gray center. Like he's willing to help Black Panther. I thought that was interesting. And he was accepting defeat that time that he actually defeated him. He actually respected that, and I thought that was interesting.
A lot more nuance. I mean, like that's a neat thing about the movie is that a lot of characters get a lot more to shine with.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh. This is cut off for a bit. So yeah, go. You was saying? Yeah.
I just he gets a lot to work with that.
Yeah, it's just that's what I like about the movies because they actually humanize the characters, and you don't see that much in comic books sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it seems like comics sometimes they get into the habit of the whole old school style writing with the villains having a one-dimensional personality, and that gets boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do a lot more with it.
And the only thing I was kind of disappointed about was the Claw. I mean, they killed him so quickly. I wanted to see more of him, but we did see enough of him. I mean, we did see him in Avengers 2 and Captain America Civil War. So I guess I can understand why they got rid of him.
Yeah, he was really well. I thought he was interesting. So it was weird how they just kind of like dropped him, but who knows really? He might still be alive. He seems like a crafty villain, so I can see him figuring out a way to have escaped death in the first place. And I mean, it really is time will tell on that character. He's like I said, he's really good. I liked him a lot how he portrayed everything. And how he's smart but crazy and funny.
Yeah, I just didn't like the hand-fisted humor with the song. I thought that was a little cheesy. I don't know. When he was singing in the interrogation room, I think.
I thought it was funny, but I think that just kind of showed his just weird.
Yeah, humor. I think he did that just to show you how crazy he is. I just wanted him to like convert to sound energy because he does that in the comic books. I would like to see that version, but they didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but But I do like the technology with the arm. It was pretty interesting. And
Yeah.
I just wish they did more with it, but they didn't. And
Yeah.
there's a few interesting action scenes in the Black Panther movie. I did like the car scene with Shuri and Black Panther. It was pretty interesting. With the I think like the car was flipping over and the car chase scene too. I mean, with the Black Panther fighting in the car. I mean, he was on top of the car, which was pretty cool. And I did like the
That was
train.
definitely one of my favorite action sequences in the movie.
Yeah, I also did like the train scene with Killmonger and Black Panther at the end. That was a cool fight. I really liked that one a lot. Even though there was some parts where the CGI kind of looked bad, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where the action sequences weren't always the perfect thing, but it's still
Yeah,
the dialogue helped further the story regardless.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of CGI. I mean, you had that train, which wasn't an actual train. I think they had put graphics on that train because it's like futuristic, something like that. So I can understand why it was a lot of CGI going on there. It was difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, overall, I think it was an interesting movie. I did like it a lot. And what else can I talk about? Oh, I did like the way they did Everett Ross because he's pretty different in the comic books, and I've read like 2 issues of him it was in the 90s. It was from Christopher Priest. The issues I read because Iron Fist was in them, and I just read it. They, it's just that during the time Black Panther had him as a king, while he just while he's at I guess New York, making he's doing it's like the same thing as the Black Panther movie that he does that welfare center for the young black kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like something that happens like after that in the comic books, and I just don't like that storyline I read because Black Panther's always protecting him all the time, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you let someone be king if he can't defend himself, and you always have to protect him? Like, it was like a Jimmy Olsen type character. Like, he will call Black Panther every time he's in danger, and Black Panther has to go from New York to Africa just to save him. It was really bad, and I looked at a video. There was one time he's wearing a Robin-like costume, and it's like, oh, god awful. But I did like the changes they did in the movie that they made him into a CIA agent, and it looked like he could handle himself in a battle. I mean,
he's meek, but he's just capable.
Yeah, it was totally different in the comic books, and I kind of like that direction better. Like, I'm not sure they're gonna go in the direction of him being king of Wakanda eventually, just for temporary, I guess. And I don't know. I just think it would be interesting if he could handle himself, since he's a CIA agent, so he doesn't have to depend on Black Panther to protect him all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're gonna do it because I'm not sure it's gonna cause controversy about a white man being a king of Wakanda. But I don't know. I don't have I don't have a real bad opinion about it. I think it's okay. I think it's interesting they go in that direction. I'll see how it is, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I did like the Stan Lee cameo in the Black Panther movie at the casino.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, there's a lot of like nice humorous moments. It was one of the things overall that I liked is that the humor was well balanced. It wasn't overly humorous. It was just there to kind of lighten up certain scenes that were feeling tense and whatnot. Like the Stanley scene was really funny, or anything involving Shuri and him were really well done and funny. Um, yeah, the overall humor was well done.
Yeah, the humor was well done because I mean I felt like they didn't do too much of it, and I'm kind of okay with that because Marvel has been overdoing it sometimes, and I just like
Hmm.
it's like okay, we get it, it's funny. I don't think we need to do it too much. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean I do like the jokes they come up with in Thor and what is it? And Guardians of the Galaxy, but I get a little tired of it sometimes.
Yeah, I get it. So we'll see how it goes in the future. See if they can balance it further. This feels like they're trying, just based
Yeah.
off of those. But we still got Civil War to go through, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So
You meant Infinity War? I think
Infinity War. Yeah, sorry.
it's alright. uh, but yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
Same.
I don't know what else to say about it at this time. I think we pretty much covered everything, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I thought I could talk a bit more, but I don't think I could talk about anything else.
Yeah, I wouldn't like talk too much about it. I just feel like it's good to check out, and it's worth checking out overall.
Yeah.
And let people know that because I don't want to like ruin it. I feel like we might have said too much anyway, one way or the other. But yeah, if you haven't seen it and you've already kind of gotten this far, just check it out. It's well worth your time to see something this kind of interesting and fun, and just kind of it's beautiful to watch. Honestly,
Yeah, I really liked the imagery of it. Like
so
the culture was good too, and I also did like the Dora Majer character. I forgot her name. I think it's
Okay,
the
Samantha, yeah, okay, yeah.
yeah. I did like her a lot. She was pretty fierce and tough. I thought she was an
Yeah,
interesting character.
yeah, there's a lot of well done stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just ultimately everyone should check it out. It's well worth your time. So
Yeah,
enjoy.
I agree. And I guess we could just jump into the comic books of the week today. I mean, you say you don't have anything to talk about, right? For
I only have one comic to talk about, really, because I mean I loved everything I read. The Shade the Changing Girl Wonder Woman issue for Milk Wars. Black Monday Murders came back, and that was another great issue with a lot of great twists to it. Jonathan Higgins is killing that. There's a couple more I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, Sideways was a good first issue. But the main thing I want to talk about is the final issue of Invincible. That's been my most anticipated for a while now because I had read Invincible about 6 or 7 years ago for the first time. It was just the first volume, and I really enjoyed it, the character and the story, but I never picked it up again after that. And then in the last few months, especially since I found out that Robert Kirkman was ending the series, I've been wanting to check it out. And I finally was able to get a hold of all 11 previous Ultimate Collection hardcovers. Plus, I started collecting the final 12 issues. And this last issue, I read it all within a week and a half, I think. All that
wow,
stuff to get caught up.
I'm surprised they did
And
that.
yeah, all
'Cause
143 issues of it, and it plus a couple extra issues of Astonishing Wolfman and something, one other thing I think that it crossed over with that was collected. But it quickly, out of nowhere, just became one of my absolute favorite comic book series I've ever read. And to see it end is extremely bittersweet for me. It was a really well done final issue of anything that has possibly been around. It was a double issue, a lot of information. It kind of condensed what could have been the next 100 or so issues of the series into just one, at least 80-page book, and it did a really good job of kind of exploring where Mark and his family would go in the future and what he would accomplish and what the Viltrumite Empire would accomplish in the future. And if you haven't read Invincible, I just really would hope you check it out and enjoy it. I know it's not for everybody. To some it might meander in some spots, but I love every single issue of it. Every character, every villain. I loved how it's hit on a lot of different standard superhero tropes. The artwork's amazing throughout, between Ryan Ottley and Corey Walker, the original artist. They worked with some of the best colorists and inkers in the business, and just everyone really put a nice stamp on the series with their work. And the final issue really just hit a home run for me. It's my favorite issue of the whole week. There's a lot of good stuff this last week for me, but that was definitely my favorite thing, and I hope more people check it out. And now that it's finished, it's you get one complete story. So check it out. Hopefully he revisits it in the future, and check out the movie that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are planning on making in the future. That should also be pretty fun.
Yeah, I'll see how that goes. I'm kind of interested in that too. I never read Invincible, so I don't know much about it. I just know it's written by Robert Kirkman. That's it.
It is really something to read, especially if you like kind of like teenage heroes learning about their powers. It has one of the best kind of twists that really shapes the rest of the series early on into the series. If you read the first main volume that isn't an Ultimate Collection, but like the first volume itself, it shows up at the end of that, and it's ballsy. It was really surprising when you read it the first time, and like I said, it shapes the rest of the series and where it goes and what that means for the character of Mark Grayson and his future desires for what he wants to do. It's incredible. It really is something else.
Yeah, I see that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg is gonna write the movie, and
yeah, they're hoping to make one. If they do it, that's cool. If they don't, that's whatever.
I would like them to do it because I like what they. It's the same writing team as Preacher, and I like what they're doing with that. It's a TV series. Yeah. It's pretty good Then they did the first 2 seasons, and they're getting a 3rd season. It hasn't started yet, but I really like the direction that they did. It's a pretty good show, and it's different from the comic books, but I kind of understand why they did it because it's kind of dated, and it's a lot of sexism in the comic book version, and I don't think that's kind of acceptable in TV.
Yeah, there's a lot of I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of they can do to make the series more accessible. I don't think there needs to be a lot of changes necessarily. I wouldn't say there's a lot that's really offensive, honestly. So to me, it's just extremely violent, and that's where I feel like the series can get a little bit of a facelift just to make it a bit more palatable to those who aren't used to super colorful violence.
Well, I don't know, specific a story arc with I forgot. It's a guy that has like I forgot his name already. It's not coming to my head. He's like some Western guy he fights, and it gets pretty brutal there. So
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a few fights that get really brutal, bloody,
yeah, especially
violent.
when Preacher was was in that he put the hook on the guy and it was like blood everywhere. So yeah, it does get pretty violent, but not too much. I notice.
Yeah, so we'll see. I really need to say though is just check out the actual Invincible series, and enjoy it. It's a beautiful series, I think, and if you like Robert Kirkman from Walking Dead or Outcast, check it out. And I would also, just because of how good those are, check out his new series Oblivion Song coming out in a few weeks. It's all really good. He's not the best writer in the world, but he's definitely got a sense of character for everyone. Like that's to me the most important thing is he builds characters well.
I'm surprised he's really ending it.
Yeah, it's surprising. I can just judging from reading the last issue, you can see why he wants to end it. But I have faith that he will revisit it in the future, maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, he'll revisit the series and give you a glimpse into what we missed out on. Just because he has those juices in his mind going. So once again, that was my favorite issue. That was my favorite book of the week. I read it 2 or 3 times already. And I don't normally do that, and yeah, it's beautiful. Just check it out.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like since he's ending Invincible, he could end Walking Dead eventually. Cause I don't know, but I've been losing a little interest in the Walking Dead comic books. It's just hasn't been good.
I'm all in on Walking Dead. I think Walking Dead is built on its ensemble more than a main character compared to Invincible. Invincible, you're following one character kind of with a great cast behind him. While Walking Dead, as much as it's a Rick storyline, it's also about everyone else, and there's so much potential for it because of that, and it can go almost indefinitely. I mean, we'll see if it really does go that long. He might decide to end it in 20 issues. He might decide to end it in 100 issues.
Yeah.
To me,
I don't know.
Walking Dead, it's a matter of, how much you want to stay on to the story. I like it. I really like what he's doing with it now, because it's going into places you don't expect, because it's not as sad as you're thinking, but it still gives you a lot of tension, because when things get good for characters, you think something bad is going to happen, and he's doing a good job of portraying that and allowing characters to kind of grow within the universe.
I do like it, but it's just I don't like the Negan being I guess a good person. It just doesn't work with the character. I can't see him that way.
I'm reading the Here's Negan backstory that goes into who he was before the outbreak, and
yeah, I read that, and I still don't think so.
It's just to me, I think it just shows that it's one of those things where it just shows like circumstances can build a person, and the circumstances can change a person, and no matter what a person has done or will do or could do, that's not really who they are. It's something else, and not to forgive anything that Negan does, but
yeah,
the interesting thing about him is that he can change. He can change all he wants. You can still hate that he's changing to somewhat of a good person or whatever. That doesn't change the fact that he has changed, and it doesn't matter that you don't like it or not. That's him. That's his thing, and I think that's actually well done, because, like anything else, when a horrific person who does horrific things kind of repents from that, it doesn't matter if if you believe it or not. That's who they are, and that's
I know that's who they. That's this is the creator direction of the character. I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. I like it. I've been enjoying it, but we'll see if he even shows up again.
Yeah, because
from the last issue, he might not show up again. And if he does, I've gone back to his old ways.
I kind of prefer he doesn't show up again, because he looked like he was. I don't know. It looked like he was gone. Like his mind is just not the same anymore. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He's like, damn. it looked like his brain was damaged. I don't know. That's what it seems like.
Yep.
I don't know what they're gonna do with that character. Yeah. So yeah, is there anything else?
Not for me. I don't have anything else that I'm aware of to talk about.
All right, I'm gonna talk about what comics I liked. Not talking about any comics from this week. I'm still like in, guess, the last week of January. I did like the Flash annual #1. We didn't get to talk about it much last time. I thought it was pretty interesting with how Wally feel the older Wally, how he's dealing with not being able to tell his secrets to Iris, or even talking to Iris about knowing who he is and that he's been alive, I guess. 'Cause I'm not sure if Iris think he's dead or something. It's kind of weird. They haven't really explained that. And I do like that he gets to talk to Magenta. I think that's how you say her name. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. I did like that. So yeah, I think it's a good issue. I did enjoy Old Man Logan #34. That was I've been liking the storyline. Is Wolverine, Old Man Logan finds out that Mariko is back alive, and she was with Gorgon. Gorgon was mind controlling her, but she broke off the control, and now she's working with Old Man Logan because there's been some drug that they've been making that can hurt humans. It's supposed to make them immortal, but instead of them making them immortal, it's making them sick and not feeling so well. So Old Man Logan and Mariko is trying to stop it from happening. So I like what the direction they're going in, and I kind of like the identity that Mariko has now become, like the Scarlet Samurai, and it's pretty interesting. I've also liked Spider-Gwen 28. That's another interesting issue. You get to find out Daredevil's origin in that universe is pretty different because he's a villain in this one, and he calls himself the Kingpin, not Daredevil. Is Matt Murdock, and it's just pretty interesting because you see him get raised. He was raised by the Hand this time. He did get raised by Stick, but the Hand kills him, and the Hand takes over by raising him, and then they give him to Kingpin after they didn't like him after a while. So he has a bad influence on himself, and I could see why he became a villain instead of a hero in a different universe. So I do like that origin backstory. It's something different, and you do see Gwen interacting with her band members and her Aunt May and Uncle Ben, because they find out her secret identity, and it's interesting how they take it. I've also liked Silencer #1.
That was surprisingly good.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good. I thought it was interesting that they made. She was kind of like Black Widow, but she's like a mother. Is different, and I like that she has a family, which is pretty interesting, and I think her powers are pretty interesting too. Like, she made things quiet around her. I thought that was pretty cool. Did you?
Yeah, that worked really well.
Yeah, that was really well done. I liked it. Um, I also liked Tales of Suspense 101. It's with Winter Soldier and Hawkeye looking for Black Widow. I
Mm.
I did like it because you never get to see, you never seen like Hawkeye work with Winter Soldier before, and it's interesting to see the dynamic for the first time, and it's they're clashing, and I was expecting them to clash because Winter Soldier is serious while Hawkeye is he's more of a joking type character. He's more laid back, and to see them clash is pretty funny. They actually make a few jokes, so and I'm and even though Hawkeye does screw up a lot, Winter Soldier is starting to see why he's good at what he does, and I like that. So it's like, yeah, I just see Winter Soldier warming up to Hawkeye, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
I also liked what is it, Falcon #4. Um, I it's been pretty interesting. It's just I think, I don't know, Falcon was stuck in some dream world with Blackheart, and um, Patriot had to get him out, but he used Dr. Voodoo to help him out. And it's interesting how Dr. Voodoo told Patriot he had to like talk to Falcon to get out of it because he's the only one that believes in him for right now. Because Falcon's going through this dilemma about that he failed as a Captain America and he doesn't know if he should be a Captain America again. And Patriot disagrees with him and thinks that he should be Captain America again, and he wants him to do better and not worry about what the people think negatively about him. So it's pretty interesting. He wants to see him as a better hero, and I like that.
Yeah.
I also have been liking Punisher, the Platoon #5. It's a pretty interesting miniseries. I'm seeing Punisher at the time he's at Vietnam, and I like what the direction they're going in. It's pretty interesting how things at Vietnam were, and you get to see how messed up the war is, how disorganized it was really for the Americans, and I think that's pretty interesting. And you get to see different soldiers' perspectives. It wasn't because the book is not only about Punisher; it's also the people that he worked with, and it's kind of interesting to see that. I've also liked Injustice, chapter 43. I'm talking about the digital version. It's pretty interesting. I mean, it's been talked about Raj Al Ghul with Gorilla Grodd, and I do like the interaction that they have in that particular issue, and it seems like Raj Al Ghul is the same type of character. I thought he was different because, I mean, he does in here he cares about nature, which is kind of different, but he looks like he wants to get rid of the weak still of humans. I guess he has a different attitude towards animals and humans, and I think that's pretty interesting. But I like the direction they're going with Gorilla Grodd. I just want to see how far it go with them. Also did like Dr. Aphra #16. That was pretty interesting because the relationship with Aphra and Tovan was interesting. they went a little bit flirtatious there, and I did like the relationship with the bounty hunters and Aphra. It was pretty funny. It was an interesting book. And I guess I'll talk about the last one I enjoyed was Quantum and Woody #2. I liked the relationship between Quantum and Woody. Their relationship hasn't been going so well because I guess Woody finds out he's adopted, and he's his adopted father, and Quantum knew about it, but he never told him about it. So it's kind of interesting to see them clash. And it's pretty. The book is still funny. That's why I enjoy it. That's about it, I think. I know I had a lot to talk about, but I guess I'm done already.
You had a lot more than I did. I don't read most of those series. I didn't have much input on those ones, so. But I mean, it's all stuff that makes me want to read them either way. So.
Oh, I like straight up spoiling it. But I don't think
that's the nature of comics, so.
Oh yeah, I'm used to things being spoiled. It's just I'm not sure how other people feel about that. But yeah, that's about it. I read more comic books, but I need to let my mind gather or what I think about it. So that's about it.
And I feel like with certain ongoing series, you don't have to mention everything unless it's like.
Yeah, there's some books I didn't mention everything because I was able to summarize it much quicker. Some comic books I have a trouble summarizing it, and that's where I start spoiling it. So yeah, I guess we could end the podcast here, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. And yeah, I just look forward to next week if we do the podcast or whenever we do it. So yeah. All right.
Yep, that sounds good.
All right. Bye. All right.
Bye.